when we talk about life and people how we do life wrong, that's a totally different story because life has a way, not women, life has a way of showing you that there's a place for you if you fuck up. Whereas women, that's not necessarily the case. Women would deal with a screw up any day of the week, whereas life ain't gonna deal with a screw up every. You know what I mean? They're gonna tell you, "Hey, look, we got a place for you."
I think we discard Pookies and Ray Rays too quickly. Like those are people too. Those guys are people too. And
what else should we be doing with them, Sir Hale? Please.
no, let me finish. So, like a lot of those guys are decent dudes who either didn't get training. Like, what would you do if you had opportunity, you had options, you could get any woman you want? A lot of us can criticize men for walking in shoes we'll never walk in. And I think it's very easy to be critical of Pookies and Ray Rays when you've never dealt with their temptation. So, somebody asked a question early, have we talked to guys like that? Absolutely have. And most of those dudes know that they wrong, know that they dogs, and want to stop it. But once you start down the path, it's like dudes who start down drug dealing or start down, it's hard to reverse that. And most guys, it takes them getting into jail or something terrible happening to them to give them a wake-up call. So I think that there are some dudes who are just straight up reckless, and we gotta address that. But a lot of dudes just lack direction, and they're doing what they've seen done before. All they're doing is repeating what they saw the person who mimicked, what a man is for them. They're just mimicking that. And I think that we can't let those men be off limits. Most men respect the dude who at least tell them the truth. Don't mean he gonna stop screwing. Don't mean he gonna stop doing what he doing. But they'll at least respect you for saying something to him. And I think that we got to include them into the conversation, especially if we're talking about communities. We got to have the balls to talk about men, or to talk to men who we see with deviant behavior, because a lot of those Jews just simply lack direction. Not everybody, but a lot of them.
I would still say that that's gonna still yield the same. That's gonna still yield the same result because all these gonna, like, regardless of how we try to slice it, a dude that ain't getting nobody can't tell a dude that's getting them all nothing. Because all he gonna say is, well, the I don't want to say, you know what I mean, but the chickens do. They like, why you sitting up there telling me what I'm doing wrong? Why they keep coming after me? Why ain't they checking for you? And that's the reality for a lot of men. Like for a lot of, like, it's easy for us on this panel to say that because we're older and we at a place that, you know what I mean, we at a place where we probably, a lot of y'all are probably already in a position where you can get any woman that you want and all of that. It's very hard if you coming up to be that dude that's trying to, like, how many times we heard the stories of dudes who tried to tell they boy who was getting all the girls like, hey bro, man, you need to chill, man, you doing old girl dirty. And he look at him like, yeah, probably, but so what? She's still rocking with me. And he doesn't realize until old girl decides to leave him. And then he may go back to his homeboy and be like, hey man, she left me. He was like, hey, I told you was doing the dirty. But as long as the women subscribe to it, there is nothing we can say. As far as women, now when we talk about life and people how we do life wrong, that's a totally different story because life has a way, not women, life has a way of showing you that there's a place for you if you fuck up. Whereas women, that's not necessarily the case. Women would deal with a screw up any day of the week, whereas life ain't gonna deal with a screw up every, you know what I mean? They're gonna tell you, hey, look, we got a place for you. So it's easier to talk to them to get them out of trouble and steer them a different direction in that aspect. But when you talk about dealing with women, there ain't nothing you can say to a man like that.
Yeah, I think that the idea and the image of what we think about as the Pookie and Ray Ray has now since evolved. I mean, I hear now women talking about beware of the corporate Pookie and Ray Ray now.
Damn, what is that? These niggas that evolved.
It's a bachelor. They've made all this new stuff.
So yeah, it's pretty much that. And that's been now the circulating.
They think every man.
The corporate Pookie and Ray Ray. What?
I'll just say,
but Sean Antonio was 100% correct. So what I've noticed too, and we have to check ourselves as men and our arrogance. We have this, like, I think it's a black people thing. We have this utopian way of thinking that everybody's supposed to do well or come to our level or understand our teaching. Literally, this class system exists in every ethnic group in every country around the world. Some men just don't want to aspire to be more. And we actually got to realize that's okay, because it just makes me look flyer. It makes me look better. If I was still single or my wife decided to leave me, it would be the reason I get the baddest woman. You see what I'm saying? So because they don't want to aspire to do nothing. And that's fine. As long as you can take care of yourself and you're not messing up anybody else and leaving damage and destruction in your wake, then we should, leave them alone with that. But I also think that when we're talking about Pookie and Ray Ray and what we do for them, one thing I also want to say is that Sean Antonio said we don't really associate with those men. Those men are actually scared of us. That's a different. I have been around these type of dudes, and when they're around men that are squared away, that are taking care of their family, that shit make them uncomfortable. Because it's one thing to be talking about wives and children and Jack and Jill and your kids' college fund, and they ain't got none of that. They on their third baby mama, like, oh shit, what do these niggas talk about? They look uncomfortable. They ready to go back to the hood and talk with the people that make sense to them. So
if that's the case, then why do we talk about dick discipline? If a man is going to do what he does, then why are we wasting our breath talking about dick discipline? Protect your seed.
I say dick discipline doesn't exist.
Well, wait, but let me say this though. So here's the thing, and I think this is some of what gets missed, but I think this is why I know Humble Dad ready to tuck in. You look sleepy. It must be the itis kicking in. What'd you eat today, Humble Dad?
Cotton patch.
No, for real. This is the thing, but this is why I enjoy these conversations, right? Because the solution is like the problem is multi-layered, and it's going to require people to attack it from multiple angles. So I agree with you, Sir Hell. I don't discard the Pookies and Ray Rays, because one of the rally cries for me has been our warrior class is being eliminated, if not completely eradicated already, right? And I associate most of what our warrior class would have been. Just bear with me. I look at gang culture, right? And I really do equate that to who our warrior class would be. Some of the biggest dope dealers, man, that have never graduated high school or went to an Ivy League, man, Big Meech could have been, man, you know what I'm saying? So, man, the way he came up with, read his story, the stuff that he thought of and the way that he came up with it. If you think about Freeway Rick Ross, the real Freeway Rick Ross, the real one that they base Snowfall off of, right? So I'm an eternal optimist, right? I invest in people. I want my community to thrive. So I get it. Everybody's not going to go along for the ride. It took me a long time to get there, right? But it doesn't mean that we stop trying to have those conversations and reach out to those cats, right? Even if they not going to come along. Now, I get the whole don't cast your pearls before swine, if you're looking from a biblical perspective, but it still doesn't absolve you of your duty to try and reach and teach, because Lord knows, if we didn't have some of the mentors in our hoods, if we didn't have some of the teachers, some of the male resources in our hood, our lives could have went real easy. So the guys that want to vibe with the talented 10th, man, y'all go ahead and get that together, man. Y'all do y'all thing. You white collar dudes, and then for the dudes that are blue collar, y'all want to get together and figure out how we need to maneuver. And then for those and below, like it's a multi-pronged issue, and it's going to require us attacking it from various ways. And to me, in my opinion, none of it's wrong, but we got to get the work done.
Rilla, let me ask you this question, and I've been wanting to ask for a minute, and it ties into what you just finished saying. Looking at this entire conversation holistically and what is really happening out there, children being raised out of wedlock at a high number, right? And us not really creating a whole lot of community, but a lot of broken homes. And there's a missing element, and that's a positive masculine figure, father figure, right? So what do you feel, all of you, what do you feel we need more of? Mentors or stepfathers? Do we need more mentors to return and be in certain spaces and certain, community settings, interacting with these kids, or do we need more stepfathers?
We need a plan, and we need that plan, and we need the components, we need the support system for that plan. We need the infrastructure of that plan to become institutionalized, because all the ignorant shit is institutionalized. All the negative things are institutionalized. If we have a mentoring program, if we have after school programs, it shouldn't matter if JR is there. It shouldn't matter if Rilla is there. It shouldn't matter if I'm there. The program should exist, and it should be a leadership development factory where these positive things are taught. In Chicago, we had a program which kind of still exists called Ceasefire. Ceasefire, you have to be a certain type of guy that had a certain type of street cred to get into that program. And your job as a violence interrupter was to interrupt violence, was to stop niggas from shooting other niggas in retaliation, right? We have to have reentry programs. We have to have these. We have to have a plan. We have to build the infrastructure. It has to be institutionalized. It has to be funded so that it's self-propagating. It's self-sustaining. We have to have a plan, and we have to build the infrastructure, and it has to bear results, period.
I'll say this. So we got to make it okay for men to be men again. I think that's the missing link. I think what we've done is we've politicized masculinity and the rawness of what men are. We've made it to be inherently evil. And so we've kind of scaled down, we've kind of dilute our masculinity to fit into a culture that doesn't appreciate what men offer until there's a need for his brute physicality to protect them in some way.